Hello guys, this is Pavel Oskarov from Laravel Daily Team and YouTube channel Laravel Business, and today I want to talk to you about processes. Processes that help us all deliver more successful projects to our clients. So I've been analyzing past work with my team for last 2 years. I was analyzing what projects became more profitable, less profitable, what failed, because in agency work and in freelance work it's always up and down. Some projects are more successful than others. So what are the ingredients of profitable ones? Well, success is profit for you as like agency owner or freelancer or developer, like profit in terms of money, and also happy client. It should be both. Actually, happy client should go first, and then they share money with you, and then you earn more. So what are the ingredients and what are the success key factors? And I realized that it all comes down to processes. Because processes are typical scenarios how you deal with things, typical answers to the common questions, like how do you deal with backups, how do you deal with bugs, how do you deal with staging servers and all of that. And if you have typical answers to that, which is processes, which are, I don't know, documented somewhere or somewhere in your head, then it doesn't take you a lot of time to achieve those results. So you can do things faster, in more comfortable for you way, in more reliable way, and then you can earn more money with that and deliver a more successful project. So I want to share with you a few processes that I've been doing on my own in my own freelance career, and then I adapted the same things into a team-based environment, and here are my few tips for you. So those processes, it's my own thing, which I've come down to those processes after 15 years of freelancing, or like 10, 15, something like that, and that's how I do, and that's how I like to do things. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to do the same. Just get some ideas from my processes and maybe adapt something and translate it into your own workflow. So for some context, I started freelancing work like 10 to 15 years, and then recently, 5 years ago or so, I invited a few friends to join me, and now we're kind of Laravel Daily Team. So those processes adapt and are kind of active and useful for freelancers, but also for small-ish teams of like 3 to 5 people. So processes are, imagine that as FAQ on your page, like typical questions that would come up from client or from your team members or from your customers, users, and then you have to answer with the process. Typical question number one that I get from the clients: how do you schedule work and how do you plan work in general? Like on new project, so how do we start basically? And what is the workflow? How do I test things? And when is the deliverable and stuff like that? So I have a process for that, pretty standard. Sometimes I get a little like step here and there from that, but most of the times it goes like this. New project is being created on my own repository, GitHub, private repository, and deployed to staging server that is created specifically for that client. Laravel Forge is really useful for that. And then I give client access to that staging server to test. Then a round of testing, then some more changes on that staging server. So by that time, the code and the server is still on my on my accounts. So I don't give away anything to client. I give away the visuals, so how it actually works, but I don't give away the code or the server access. And then after some stuff is already done and live, I ask for 50% of payment. So I don't take any money up front usually. So I ask for 50% when roughly 50% of work is being done. And then I continue still on the same servers. And then when more or less the project alpha version is done, then I ask for 100% payment and transfer everything to client servers, because it should belong, like in the final version, it should belong to client GitHub account and on client server. Well, because I give away the whole project, because what happens if I'm gone or something. So this is my process, and then bug fixes come like case by case basis. It's usually free, but sometimes with new developments it goes extra hourly rate. So this is my typical process, how I work with clients. I usually explain that in a minute to clients like I did just now, and everything is pretty clear, and then I send all the details to them about servers and all of that. So that's process number one, how I deal with projects. Next process is how I deal with tasks. and I have a video about that, how we use Trello with our team. But for most projects, I create a Trello board with such columns: to do, doing, done. So that's pretty typical, right? So what needs to be done, what is in progress, and what is done. But on top of that, I create a few more fields. First is waiting client feedback or need client feedback. So whenever question comes up, I drag that task to that column. And then on top of done, I also create confirmed. So done means prepared for testing for the client, and confirmed, only the client drags the card from done to confirmed. And finally, I create another column, not always, but most of the time, called information. So any relevant links, any relevant docs, any relevant, I don't know, attachments, specification, all of that. So it would be in one place on Trello board instead of email or, I don't know, some servers or Google Docs or whatever. It should be on the same Trello board. Or even if it's all over internet, the link to those links to those resources should be in Trello board. So that's example of second process of how to schedule the tasks. And then a third example of a process is how do I deal with bugs. So for example, something comes up, what is the typical process of fixing them? First, technological part is on every project I install Bugsnag. We use Bugsnag with the team with the reporting to Slack and sometimes to email. It depends on the project. So we receive the notifications to our Slack channel, and sometimes I get personal notification by email. And then the rule is to respond to the bug ASAP. Sometimes we don't even need the client to be involved in that. We just fix it. Sometimes we do need to tell the client what happened. So for example, if the bug comes up for client's customer and client doesn't even know that it happened, we need to inform the client that this customer had issue with something, and if they call you, or you should be proactive to call them to report that this didn't work and this will be fixed in such and such amount of time. And then it goes to actually fixing the process. But clients need to know who is responsible and when should be the things fixed if something comes up. So that is also important. Basically, you need processes for mostly everything you do, everything that can be standardized. So what tools do you use? And not even tools, so how do you use those tools? So how do you use Slack? We have a channel for every project, for example. How to use Trello, how to use Bugsnag, how to use GitHub. What happens if, I don't know, how do you deal with backups for database? All of those things should be documented, or at least should be known by you, because the more repeatable processes you find in your kind of daily job, the more they become reliable. Sorry for my voice. They become more reliable, stable, you can do them faster and deliver to the client, and then it sounds really professional when you have the answer to the client in almost all of the time. So the client asks you, how do you deal with that? Even before giving you the project, it happens it helps even in sales pitching. So clients ask, how do you deal with that typically? And you have immediate answer because you know that, and it sounds really professional. It sounds like you've done that many times, which you did, and then it helps you to sell the project to the client. So my advice to you in this video is think more and more about what processes can you standardize in your kind of project to project basis, what should be documented, and how what tools maybe you should switch or maybe adapt or something, so you wouldn't have to create something from scratch every time, and you would be more prepared for the delegation of the processes. Actually, another side benefit of that is if something has process, then it doesn't necessarily need to be me of doing that. So if something is documented, then a team member can take over in my absence, or like even if you have like 2 developers on the team, so if something is documented or known by both developers, then someone could take over easily in case of, I don't know, some vacation or some sickness, something like that. So processes is the thing that will help you scale, help you deliver more projects quicker, and basically earn more money. That's what I'm trying to do here with my client work. Or like it's 50-50 currently. Actually, it's funny, it's 50% of my time doing client work, both managing and coding, and 50% is on Quick Admin Panel, which is the product of our, which actually was born after client work, when we noticed something. Again, we noticed processes, then we transformed it into coding generator. So yeah, these are my tips and advice on processes. I hope it's helpful. If you know any more processes, shoot them in the comment and let's discuss what we can improve in your agency or freelance life. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell button to be notified of new videos, and see you in other videos on Laravel Business Video Channel.